Hello, and welcome to Breaking It All Down. I'm Count Zero. This is the second of my videos covering the main E3 press conferences. Today for this installment, I'll be covering EA's press briefing. I'm sorry for this coming out late. It's 2 days since the actual event happened. In short, the reason for the delay is basically it's finals week. It's not my fault that they decided to schedule E3 for finals week, or the fact that they've been scheduling E3 during finals week. It makes it difficult for those of us who are actually college students and that sort of thing to get everything covered and get blog posts and that sort of thing out on time. So, this installment is going to be covering the EA press briefing. They started out with a story trailer for Mass Effect 3. It was an okay story trailer. They were trying to do some sort of video news coverage of the alien invasion, what it might look like. The problem is the way they had it set up, the visual style for the future Earth didn't match what we see in the games. It felt like, well, we just go out and shoot some location footage at various current real-world places, edit stuff in there, and it'll mesh, except it doesn't, because Mass Effect is in the future, and has a very distinct architectural style and stuff to make it look like, hey, this is the future, as opposed to modern day Earth, where we have cargo containers, which look like cargo containers always look like modern cargo containers, and everything looks 20 minutes in the future. It kind of bugged me. Didn't impress me, especially considering various concerns I've had with the state of the franchise as far as it going more in a shootery direction and that sort of stuff. So from there we go into a gameplay demo. This is much bigger than the one we had from the Microsoft press briefing, and it looked even more shootery. It looks like, I don't want to do heavy Gears of War comparisons, but it looks like Gears of Babylon 5 in terms of it's not as grim and gritty and Warhammer 40k-y as Gears of War does, but it's tight shooting, it's stick to cover, it's not a lot of... There was no story stuff, there was no dialogue stuff, there was no party banter stuff. It was just running around and shooting with Lenara and that sort of thing. I mean, you go through, you shoot a bunch of Reapers, you get to, Shepard gets to the core of this Reaper base, calls down the Hammer of Dawn, calls down the, Normandy to do a bombing run on it, and you even have a little laser guided targeting reticle thing, just like the Hammer of Dawn from Gears of War 2, Gears of War as well. And he calls down a strike, and discover, oh, this is the Reaper base is actually a giant Reaper, and so now we go have a driving sequence with on-rail shooting from a turret of your vehicle as you shoot at the Reaper that's chasing after you. Really? Really? This is where we're going with Mass Effect 3? Look, I understand why you have epic war invasion stuff going on, but there's gotta be a better way. I mean, there's gotta be a way to, I don't know, have things set up so maybe we can skip the on-rail shooting sequence, where if you do negotiation, if you do mission for a few other people before you go on this mission, you can have stuff set into place, so when the Reaper base turns out to be a giant Reaper, there are like tanks in position to shoot at them, or the Normandy can drop bigger ordnance on it, or something like that. Just something other than driving sequence and turret-based shooting sequence. I mean, we got enough of that in other games. If I want a turret shooting sequence, I'll play something else. I'll play Gears of War. I'll play Call of Duty. I play Mass Effect, so I want to play a role-playing game with an interesting story. And an interesting, well-developed, well-fleshed-out story. And this isn't it. Sorry. That's how it is. I mean, I guess the main story for E3 and getting press for the press briefings, and this is something that will come up in all the other press briefings, is lots and lots of shooters. More shooters than you can shake an AK-47 at. More than that. I mean, good lord. And I was watching the press briefings, I was reading Twitter, I was taking a look at what other people were saying on these. And the general consensus on this was, when yet another shooter came up, was really, yet another shooter that plays the same as all the other shooters. Can't we change things up a little bit? I mean, in Mass Effect, can't we see more story stuff? Can't we see more, like, negotiation stuff? I mean, this is the first Mass Effect game which lets you do a gay romance, as opposed to if you're playing a female character, a lesbian romance. Can we get something of that? Can we see who possible partner might be for that? Can we show one of the new characters? Or a glimpse of one of the new characters we're seeing? Something like that. Really. Please. Anything. But no. It's actually got to the point where I ended up unfollowing, this sounds petty saying this, but I ended up unfollowing Arthur Geese of IGN and the Eat Sleep Play and the Rebel FM podcast, because he was kind of more defending the shooter stuff, but his arguments basically were, well, people buy shooters, so don't and you play shooters, so don't complain if you see and get more shooters. Yeah, I'm going to play some of these shooters. I'm going to play the next Gears of War. I'm going to play the next Call of Duty. I'm going to get them from GameFly. The problem is, shooters, unless it's got like really good multiplayer, shooters don't have the kind of gameplay which will make me stick around. When it comes to single player, I'll play it once, I'm done. If it's multiplayer, I'll play the multiplayer bit until either I get sick of the players, or maybe play a bit more if there's a bunch of people who I really want to play with. Otherwise, won't play that very much either. I'm not really a big multiplayer focused person. I like it. I'm not like Yahtzee where I hate multiplayer, but I like having the big interesting moments. And then lots of these shooters aren't really just catching my attention. And moving swiftly on. We get a really bizarre little cheap shot at Microsoft. I mean, I can imagine that EA's people knew that what Microsoft was doing at their press conference beforehand. Was doing at everyone's press conferences because they had people at everybody's press conferences, except for, like, Ubisoft and that sort of thing. But they had people at all the press conferences, so they knew what everyone else was doing coming into this. Yet they took a cheap shot at Microsoft anyway. Really? You're not like you're another platform holder. What's the point? I'm not saying we're not going to be all, why can't we all just get along, but there are better things you can do with your time than take cheap shots at platform holders over having celebrities at your press conferences. Especially considering what comes up late, considering something that came up later. And next take a look at Need for Speed The Run. I'd actually taken a few online surveys related to this beforehand. I didn't quite know what I was getting into. I was taking a survey, but I didn't quite know what the results were going into. I took a survey related to the name of the logo, as far as typeface and that sort of thing. And I took a survey related to vehicles, as far as what vehicles you most wanted to see in a video game. And when they're talking about console-specific exclusives and the add-on discs with extra cars, with stuff like the Bugatti Veyron and that sort of thing, that was the kind of stuff that was showing up on the polls, and that was stuff I was selecting. I mean, some of those were stuff I picked, and the stuff I want in the special edition, whatever. But it was something that stuck out in my mind. So hey, if you do these surveys and stuff, hey, they listen to your feedback. It shows up in places. But anyway, unfortunately, while the driving looked okay, I guess, we then got a quick time event sequence where your character gets out of the car and runs around, and this leads to a vehicle transfer, leading to another quick time event and all that sort of thing. And, I mean, again, this is another case of, what's the point? I actually kind of groaned a bit here when they first said, oh, and now you'll be able to run around and do stuff outside the car. Like, that went really well for Driver. That worked really well for Splinter Cell. I really wanted to run around outside the car in those games. No. I play a driving game to play a driving game. If I'm playing a point-to-point Cannonball Run meets Fast and the Furious racing game, I want to be in the car. Do cutscenes on like the nights, on like the end of day bits at hotels and that sort of thing, to set up the characters and the story and that sort of stuff. I mean, that worked just fine for stuff like Need for Speed, Most Wanted, and Need for Speed Carbon, and that sort of thing. That worked there. I mean, Razor Callahan became an internet meme, particularly for people who use Giant Bomb and GameSpot because of the overly hammy acting in those games. But no, this isn't what I want in a racing game. If I want racing with on-foot action, I'll play Grand Theft Auto. I might even play Saints Row, except I won't. But I'm not going to play this. Not at all. I'll give it a try. I'll rent it. But I'm not renting the run for the QuickTime action event sequences. We then get our look at Knights of the Old Republic. I'm doing air quotes here because it's a trailer. It's a full motion video cutscene trailer with stuff we've seen in every trailer before. There's nothing new in this trailer. We had guys from BioWare come out and say, "Hey, I'm not going to sell you on this by talking about it or showing you cutscenes. Play it and see for yourself." And it shows a trailer, which does nothing to sell me on it, because it's everything I've seen before. Same old shit. And yeah, I mean, I want to play it. I like Star Wars. I like BioWare. I like BioWare, and they're making role-playing games, not shooters. And this could be really good. I'll give it a try, but this wasn't the best trailer they could have done. You need to look at the new SSX, which is no longer bearing the name of Deadly Descents. Yay! That was a dumb name. Glad it's gone. And hyping some technology, which they've mentioned before in Game Informer articles, of using satellite mapping to set up their tracks and that sort of thing, which is cool. Looks like one of the areas is going to be the Pacific Northwest, hey, I'll get to extreme snowboard down the Cascades. Awesome. Glad to see that. Hopefully it's actually Mount Hood, not, extreme snowboarding down one of the mountains in Three Sisters doesn't have the same ring to it as Mount Hood or Mount or any of that area. Get a look at FIFA 12. We get a big thing talking about how awesome FIFA is and people playing it, that sort of stuff. And it looks like they're including some of the auto log stuff here, where they're setting with some, quote, storyline matches in terms of, say, for example, Manchester United and Manchester City. I don't know if they're actually in the same league. I don't follow European Premier League. But say they play each other and they have a rivalry, one team wins, you can replay the they put a challenge in game if this is one of your favorite teams, the team you're supporting, where you can replay this match and see if you do better into a rematch. I like this idea. I really hope the game gets some Major League Soccer stuff in there. If only just because I want to toss my support behind Portland Timbers. Go Timbers. Timbers Army, woo! And then there's where we get silly. We get the Madden 12 trailer with 3 football players for teams that I don't follow because I follow the Seahawks. I don't follow the Packers. I don't follow the Colts. I don't follow Baltimore Ravens or that sort of thing. I'm in the Pacific Northwest. The Seahawks are my home team. I follow them. I have no clue who these dudes are. But considering that Microsoft was not Microsoft, but EA was taking a shot at Microsoft getting Ice-T and all these other guys for their press conference earlier, having them bring out these football players here and have them not even playing the game, as opposed to IT, who is well known for being a gamer and being a fan of the Gears of War series. It just felt like really, really silly. Yeah, we're totally taking a shot at these other guys for bringing out celebrities. Hey, check out these celebrities. Yeah, you're full of shit. But look at a Facebook Sims game. Don't care. Really don't care. I don't play games on Facebook. I play games on Steam. I play games on my Xbox 360, on my PS3. If I owned a Wii, I'd play games on that. I don't play games on Facebook. I keep track of my friends on Facebook. Insomniac is having their first multi-platform game published through EA called Overstrike. It looks like a more Team Fortress 2 / James Bondy type spy game. It looks fun. I can see some sort of class-based multiplayer stuff coming out of this. It's silly, which is Insomniac's thing. I like it. The characters in this looks like they have real character to them, which I appreciated. There was a Battlefield 3 demo. We got a big cutscene, little trailer talking about the game. Well, it looks like a little glimpse of the multiplayer. It looks like they're incorporating some of the destructible environment stuff from the Bad Company games in there, but using it with their new engine in interesting ways. There's particularly some stuff for going through a subway tunnel being in multiplayer. It was definitely multiplayer. They were having the kill headings on the side, and being rocked by explosions from something planted by players or something else, and it looked really good. The melee kills in the game, particularly it looks like if you get like the sort of assassination kind of stuff, look really good. And then we got a vehicle driving sequence and a little story cutscene in the vehicle driving sequence, driving level with a tank mission. It looks okay. I'd be more interested in the multiplayer stuff. I'd be more interested if we got a actual multiplayer session on stage going on. Now on an earlier, when Giant Bomb people were talking about this on their little recap things, they're complaining that all we saw was Battlezone. No, we didn't see nothing but Battlezone, but most of what we saw was, yes, Battlezone. Was tanks and inside tanks and shooting stuff with tanks. But I mean, it looked fun. It looked interesting. I'm interested in seeing more. I'm not totally sold on it yet, and I'm not even totally certain that my computer I have will run all of that yet, but let's see when we get there. It looks like they did recharging health on the tank, which I actually liked. Most games with the vehicle segments, the health on the vehicle simply goes down. Even if you have a charging health elsewhere in your game, the health on the vehicle progressively goes down. And I'm interested to see what they do with this, especially how it applies to the multiplayer. Recharging health on vehicles in multiplayer could, on one hand, make it more difficult for vehicles to be killed, and would have to change how, like, an engineer class or a vehicle repair class would work. But on the other hand, it could make it maybe more of an equalizer, where if you have an engineer next to a tank that's kind of just working on it over and over again, you can make it easier to more quickly take out a tank, rather than needing 4 guys with rocket launchers pounding on it repeatedly, taking out one tank, except the tank's able to take you out fast enough that you're hosed, or something like that. 'Cause that's one of the problems I had with Battlefield 2, is a lot of the time your enemy would get a tank and then it's over. And the only way that you would be able to take out the tank is if you got your own tank, or an assault helicopter or something like that. So that's that. And that basically wrapped up the EA press conference. EA had possibly the shortest press conference of the show of the first 2 days. It was a good press conference. The worst is yet to come. My next video will be covering the Ubisoft press conference. Oh God. I wasn't sober enough when I watched that press conference. Oh, no, not sober. I wasn't drunk. I was too sober for that press conference. Oh, that was bad. But it was a decent press conference. EA had a lot of good games there. Had a fair number of good games there, and and with the exception of Mass Effect, they presented things well. And so we'll have to see what else they have. And until then, and so that's my next video, which I'll try to get either to get up tomorrow or next video will be going up tomorrow. I'll try to get through the rest of the E3 press conferences tomorrow, just in time for the end of E3, and I'll talk then about my impressions for those events. So this is the Count, signing off for now.